John, you're a former Green Beret. You were forced out of the military through this vaccine mandate that the Biden administration put through. It was ultimately reversed. But can you just talk to us about your story?
Absolutely. So I was a Special Forces Green Beret. I was assigned to 7th Special Forces Group, and I took a detachment in September of 2020. 2021 comes around and the shot's coming out, and I had religious reasons for not wanting to get it. I'm a Catholic. I was studying to become a Catholic priest, and I know they use aborted fetal cells. So at that point, I'm hesitant, and we also are hearing about the medical stuff coming out. The VAERS system, Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System, is already having thousands of people showing death from it. I tell my team, because I'm the team leader, that I will neither punish or reward them based on whether they get the shot. It's their personal choice. Because of that, I had the least vaccinated detachment in 7th Special Forces Group, potentially all of Special Forces. Because of that, my team sergeant, regularly harassed by the sergeant major in the company. We ended up losing out on career opportunities, so we had a deployment to a country that did not require the shot. That was taken from our team. We were put in unwanted training situations. In fact, we were in one training situation in Louisiana where, because we weren't vaccinated, we had to wear, or were ordered to wear red wristbands that said unvaccinated and red tape. But yeah, the mandate came out in August of 2021. We were all tracking it was illegal. There was no FDA-approved shot available to service members. Comirnaty received FDA approval. That wasn't offered, only Pfizer, so it was an illegal order. And there were coercive measures that were being placed against all service members. There were some units where they would give guys the day off if they were vaccinated, and if they weren't, they had to do grueling PT. People were denied leave for not having the shot.
So there was a pressure campaign within to force people, like basically punishment and making examples of people.
Before the mandate, there was pressure campaigns going on, and it reflected negatively on officers for the evaluation reports. After the mandate, that's when they started the negative paperwork. So they tried to counsel us when we were in the middle of a training environment in September of 21. Then October came about. We talked to the medics, the doctors, that group, because we explained, look, there's a medical exemption. If you've already had COVID, if you show national immunity, you're good. I took 2 tests through different clinics to show my national immunity, but they didn't accept that. I put my religious exemption in. Anyone on my team who hadn't had the shot by that point, the end of that week, they were met with the battalion commander, the sergeant major, a lawyer, the doctor, medic, chaplain. So basically, you were either leaving with the shot or with adverse paperwork. So that's kind of, it didn't matter how long you served, what you did, and that's what the fate that so many people were met with. So I put my exemption in, and it was never answered for over a year. During that time, I couldn't deploy, I couldn't travel, I couldn't move on to future duty stations. Ironically, I was selected to teach ethics at West Point. I wasn't allowed to move. They restricted my movement to move to continue that. So after a year, I decided I'm going to put my paperwork in. The reason I say forced out, even though I put paperwork in, is because I was either facing getting my exemption denied and then potentially getting a less than honorable discharge, which is what most people got, was general discharge if they're kicked out, or leave on my own terms. So I chose to leave on my own terms and got out July of 2023.
And now, so obviously eventually the order was reversed, and you didn't go back, and just, I know we talked a little bit about this previously. I talked to you at the State of the Union. You were former Representative Matt Gaetz' guest. You lost out on opportunities in your career. Can you just talk a little bit about that too?
Absolutely. Now, officers, they have a short timeline where you have to do certain jobs in order to continue to progress. So being a Special Forces Green Beret who can't deploy, who loses out on team time, losing out on the opportunity to go to grad school to teach at West Point, and then possibly, and for a lot of people, their evaluations were negatively reflected because they didn't get the shot. And your senior leader, your senior rater is the one who makes that evaluation, and there's a lot of people who are still didn't get the shot. You know, when I got to meet Trump at a veterans town hall, and after asking the question, people came up to me. They told me they still have adverse paperwork reflecting of them getting the shot, even though they're still in, or they had bad evaluations, and they didn't write it specifically because of the shot, but that's just the way that careers were messed up, because they're not yes men. They didn't give in to the moral cowardice, the careerism, to kind of advance.
And you just said you were able to ask President Trump a question at a town hall. So what was his answer? What did he say?
Oh, sure. I mean, just a crazy year for sure. But so in October, I was able to go to a veterans town hall with Donald Trump. I supported Veterans for Trump. And I just told him, you know, President Trump, I'm John Frankman. I was a Special Forces Green Beret, forced out for not getting the COVID shot. The COVID mandate, the Biden-Harris mandate, was terrible for the military. Forced thousands out, thousands don't want to join, and they're still pushing more road training. So what are you going to do to repair the military and hold leaders accountable? And he said there should have never been a mandate, that service members need to come in with back pay, an apology, but that should have never happened. He asked me, was I forced out? Did I get the shot? Where there was raucous applause. Everybody was pretty happy to hear I didn't get the shot, which was pretty funny at a Trump rally. And he asked if I'd come back, and I told him, if there's accountability potentially. And he said, oh yeah, we'll fire their asses. So that was pretty fun response from him. But that's what I kind of want the administration to know, is that it's amazing that he's going to do the back pay, that he's going to do the apology. But what you have to understand is that these people, they lost trust in their leaders. Their leaders issued them an illegal order. There were many service members who were injured from this. I'm with a guy right now who suffered from Guillain-Barré syndrome. He was paralyzed for years. He still doesn't have all of his mobility. Other people have suffered heart attacks. So what we need to have is we need accountability for the senior leaders, and I think this needs to come in the form of court-martials for them. A court-martial isn't a conviction, it's a trial. We also need to have adjudication boards for people who are forced out or suffered adverse career opportunities, because let's say I went back in, I would have lost out on the deployments, on the team time, on the future job opportunities. So there needs to be some kind of a board to make sure that those who follow the law, those who try to protect their service members, aren't punished for it, but are able to progress in their careers as they should have been, and that we don't just reward the kind of careerism and moral cowardice that so many leaders demonstrated.
You also had a brief run for Congress in Florida's first. What's next for you? What are you looking to do?
I just feel that God is calling me to really fight for the country, to fight for the good, the spiritual and political renewal of the country. I'm going to do that in any way, shape, or form I can. And even though I had the candidacy, I would have loved to have done it as a congressman. God has other plans, at least for the time being. So if I can work for the Trump administration, potentially DOD, to help Pete Hegseth in everything that he's trying to do, that's something I'll look forward to doing. But I'm going to continue to advocate for service members and try to find ways to use some of the funds I was able to get from campaign donations to help support those efforts. So I will continue to stay active. I'm here at Turning Point, AmFest, so we'll continue to fight for service members.